So hello my friends, Devon Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes for an exclusive product photography photo shoot. All right, so here we are. We're in a different section of my living room slash dining room area. My kitchen's back over there. You guys are all up in my space right now, but suffice to say, this is our setup. I'm going to kind of explain and walk you guys through the actual setup that we have here on set right now. So we are using the primary red Savage Universal seamless paper right here. We're shooting that handbag that you guys can see right over there. We do have some sunglasses and some flowers, just kind of make it colorful, but because that's a big part of my style. So our handbag and our prop is roughly about 2 feet away from the backdrop, and it's approximately about 4.5, 5 feet away from the head of our Paul C. Buff Einstein light right here. So as far as the light itself, so we're using a C-stand from Paul C. Buff. The main reason why I'm using a C-stand compared to using a traditional tripod or a light stand is because if I did that, the light stand would be right here because I want the light centered. I don't want any shadows for the shot right here. So I'm putting on a C-stand so I can push the light over a little bit and then have the light still come over the top and it still be centered. So we are using an Einstein 640 watt strobe, and we're using an impact 48-inch octabox right here as well. It does have both layers of diffusion. We have the middle layer right here, and then we have this exterior layer that you guys may not be able to see in the video right here as well. So it's dual layer diffusion. We're using both the internal and external baffles. So that's kind of the lighting setup. Now I do want to say this is on the dining table. I don't want this to be completely on the ground because I'd mean I have to lie down to shoot. So I'm putting it on the dining table to basically elevate the setup so that I don't have to literally lie down to get nice and parallel to our subject, which is going to be that handbag over there. And that's going to be our basic, like our set today. One light setup. This doesn't have to be super complicated, anything super crazy. It's very, very straightforward. Just one light. We could do this with multitude of different lights, but I don't really have that much gear, so we're just going to do a one light setup here, and then move on to the next section. Cool. So I'm going to be kind of crouching down. So I do want to say, like, as I'm shooting here, okay, so the reason why I'm crouching down this much is because I want to be completely parallel to the our handbag. So you guys will notice, or you may or may not be able to notice, but my lens is actually directly in alignment with the there's like this kind of gold, I don't know, it's part of like a latch system, but it's basically how the bag opens up from the front. So my lens is completely parallel to that, and I'm making sure that it doesn't, there's no weird angle or distortion like this, because if I shot like this, part of the bag would be bigger. If I shot like this, a part of the bag would be smaller. So I'm making sure I'm in direct alignment with the bag so that there's no distortion caused from me changing the angle of my camera. So since I'm down here as well, let me explain my camera settings and more specifically the light settings on what we're using right now. So I am using the Sony a7 Mark I. I'm too broke to afford the a7R or the a7 III. Either of those cameras are too out of our budget, but suffice to say, I'm using the a7 Mark I. I do have the Sigma MC11 adapter here, which mounts E-mount to EF lenses. And I'm using the Canon EF 100mm macro, which is a 2.8 lens. And I'm shooting it at f11. Shutter speed is 1/160th, ISO 200. And the reason why I'm shooting at f11 as opposed to 1.4, well, this lens doesn't go to 1.4, but 2.8 or f4, 5.6, f22. The reason why I'm shooting at f11 is because for this particular lens, that's in the sweet spot of where it's the sharpest. But also, I'm doing that so this lens is unfortunately manually focus only when I use this particular adapter, so I have to use manual focus. And I'm using focus peaking so I can kind of see where I'm focusing, but suffice it to say, I want to make sure I have enough depth of field. And not only that, since I'm also shooting products, I would like this to be as sharp, the sharpest that this lens could provide, which is going to be in the middle of its range. So that's why I'm shooting at f11. Anything between like maybe 7.1 to f12, 14-ish should be great. Any of those for any of the lenses that you guys are using are going to be great places to shoot this, so you have the sharpest images. For the light that we're using here, again, we're using the Einstein 640 Paul C. Buff strobe. We have it set to about roughly 70 watt seconds, which is 1/8 of its power. Again, I will show you guys the satellite diagram that has more specific details on the measurements and the exact settings that we're using, just in case I have some kind of mistake or, you know, as we're filming that I missed something here. You guys will have all the exact measurements, the height, all that stuff. I will measure all this stuff and put it as a render, which you guys are starting to see right now. So you guys can see the actual diagram of how we're shooting this, but those are my camera settings. And the reason why this is, I guess, on 1/8 power as opposed to 100%, I want just enough light to spread out to the background. I don't want it to be too bright where it starts to desaturate the colors that are here. But at the same time, I do want it to have enough light so it's not moody. I want it to be kind of even. And then also I do adjust the power of the light so I can get the f-stop or the aperture that I'm shooting on my camera. And then get the proper exposure so that it's roughly at 0.5, maybe 1, or a little bit overexposed, and I can bring it down in post. So those are our camera settings and our light settings more specifically. The next thing we're gonna talk about is really gonna be more of the mood and the vibe and the concept as to why we chose to kind of use this color scheme and all that kind of stuff, and we'll talk about that right now. So in this section, I kind of want to talk about the concept, the mood, the vibe of this particular shoot. And maybe I'll also scratch on where I got some of these items as well. I got all these items over here that you're seeing from Marshall's, and then I got the flowers from Michael's, which is a craft store. They have plenty of fake flowers and things of that nature. But for me, you know, my style is lots of color. It's very much pop, it's contrast. I do like monochromatic, but you know, I wanted to do something fun when it comes to product photography, which is something I've done little by little. But I wanted to do this in collaboration with Savage Universal, but I wanted to do this to accentuate it with my personal style, which is a lot more color, it's pop, it's fun, and it's having elements of contrast. So you know, when I went to Michael's and Marshall's, I looked for things that emphasize that had a lot of color. I didn't look for a normal black handbag or whatever like that. And the part of the reason why I'm using the green and then the red flowers is to kind of bring in those colors and to, as you guys are seeing the images, to bring your eye throughout the frame. That's a big part of my personal style. So with that, I want it to be fun. I want it to be colorful. This is not a moody photo. The way that I'm lighting this as well is not moody. It's very flat, and it's just uniform. It's not directional. There's not a lot of shadows and things of that nature. So with that, I wanted the color to, I guess, exemplify that. Granted, I will, when I'm editing the images and stuff like that in post, I will add a little bit of contrast, things of that nature, but it will still be a lot of a fun and playful kind of theme. And this is kind of like a summer kind of set, so I wanted to make it summery and fun. So that's kind of the inspiration. This is, I guess, inspired originally by Vogue. They have a couple of really great product shots in their recent issue, and I wanted to do something similar, but with my own style. A lot of the stuff that they do with the product photography is a lot on the moodier side, but do a little bit of a spin on my side as well and make it a little bit more fun. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of insight on why I chose the things that I chose for this particular shoot that you guys are watching today. And I hope that it was helpful as well. I hope you got some insight on the ins and outs of doing this, got some more insight on what it takes to do something like this, at least with one light. It's not very complicated. It's more so about the concept and making sure that you're shooting flat on. You're using lighting that exemplifies the product that you're trying to shoot, making sure that you shoot the product in a really good a setup that really exemplifies the product that you're shooting. So hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found the contents of today's video insightful and added value to you. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Also, leave us a like and a comment in the description down below. Let us know if I overlooked something or I missed something covered in today's video. This is Devon Lennox. You know where to find us. Photography. .com.